What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Journey to podcast with your girl Summer and
Shauna Ray.
Yes, but before we get started, we do want to encourage you guys to hit that subscribe button and definitely click that bell notification so that way you can always keep up with the latest and the greatest of the episodes. So let's get into it.
Okay, well, last time we was here, it's been a while. Kind of miss you guys.
I know, right?
We was talking about different things that was going on in our life, and I believe I ended up at where I was in Norman, Oklahoma. I was down there for school for a training class with my job, and it was a pending quo class that I had to take. Mm-hmm. And I kind of got dumped into taking the class because my supervisor told me last minute about it. So it was like my choice to go or whatever, but I went on and went, scared as I was because I had to pass this class to keep my job. And so we went to the class. I went to the class, and I ended up getting a big lump sum of money the first weekend I was there that I really wasn't expecting at that time. I was expecting some of it, but some of it I wasn't expecting. And I got the money, and I was able to get a computer to help myself to try to pass the class. And I found out that I was really, really close to Texas, where I had talked to one of my girlfriends. I hadn't seen her in years. So I called Kim Stockman, and I asked her what she was doing for the weekend, and she told me I could come on down. So after I got my computer and everything and got me a rental car, I rode down to Texas to see her. She told me she really needed to talk to me about something anyway. When I got there, the Chiefs was playing, and we was all excited and stuff. So we waited till the Chiefs game was over, and then she was like, "Shauna, I really, really need to talk to you about something." And I was like, "Okay, well, what do you need to talk to me about?" And she was like, "Well, I'm writing a book, and you are in this book." And I was like, "I'm in your book?" Got a little excited. I was like, "Okay, tell me a little bit more about your book." And she was telling me that it was about her life story. Okay. And I was like, "Wow, I'm in your book and it's about your life story." And she came to me and she said, Shauna, it's about when I came to Christ. And I was like, wow, I'm a part of that story?
Wow.
And she was like, yes, you're a very intricate part to that story of mine. She said, I would come and get my hair done because I've done hair for 35 years. She said, I used to come and get my hair done all the time. And you never really forced it. You never really forced God on me.
Wow.
She said, I would just listen to you. She said, always looking for something to discourage me and say, that's not what I'm trying to do. She said, but at the same time, she said, just getting my hair done all those years by you, I got to the point where I knew that when I came to the shop to get my hair done, you would always talk about Jesus Christ and not in a pushy way. And she said, and you would always have a story to tell that was always uplifting and stuff. And people was always really just engaged in what you were saying. And she said, and it made me just really want to find him myself. She said, I didn't even really come to you and tell you that that's what was happening with me by me having those conversations with you and just being around you. But that's how it ended up happening in my life. And so I was like, wow. And I said, it's crazy that you're talking about writing a book because my godmother and my cousin/sister, Summer, and I have all been talking about writing a book. But we have been putting it on the back burner.
We had procrastination.
For a while. It's been,
Yeah.
How long has it been?
We ain't got to go into that.
Okay, It's been a while, some years. So I was like, okay, well, I was so proud of her that she had stepped out and she had written a book already. Her book was done.
Yeah.
She only needed me because she said I needed you because I need to edit that chapter. And so she needed to know a little bit about how I came to Christ and how my relationship was to Christ to kind of fill up some blanks for herself.
Okay.
And so we did that, enjoyed myself, was going home the next day, because I had school the day after that. And I was like, got this computer now, so I'm going to give me some studying in.
Right.
So I goes home the next morning, and she had to be at work. It was Monday morning, and it was a holiday, so I didn't have class that day. And so when I go back to Norman, I tell Godmama, I said, well, I need to get this mouse for the computer. I heard that they got these portable mouses. I ain't really computer literate, so I didn't know about these portable mouses. I was like,
using the cord?
I was like, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't even have a computer until I got this computer. I didn't have a laptop. So
Okay.
I was like, don't the mouse, ain't that your finger? And you,
Bless your heart.
and she was like, no, let me hip you to the game.
Yeah.
There is this thing called a mouse that's portable, and you can, and I said, I think I saw them. They was like 45. She said, let me tell you, they have them at Five Below. Mm-hmm. You can go get them at Five Below for $5. And I was like, okay. So I put in my GPS how to get back to Norman, but I needed to go to Oklahoma City because it was a little bit further than Norman. But that's where the closest Five Below was to where I was going.
Okay.
So I go there and I get to the Five Below, and I tell Godmama, I'm on the phone with her, and I tell her, I say, hey, I want to go get me some of this bronze ice cream that everybody talking about. There's this bronze ice cream shop that got good burgers and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So I said, I got my mouse, and I'm gonna have to call you back because I need to figure out how to get back to Norman, Oklahoma, so that I can get my bronze. And it was horrible weather there to where everybody had allergies and sinuses. Oh, wow. Our whole class, that was my first week of class, everybody was sick. And I refused to get sick. So I was like, I'm going to have to go to get me some Mucinex I'm going to have to find a Sam's Club. Mm-hmm. So I went to go. I told Godmama, I said, I'm going to call you back. I need to GPS myself to get back where I need to go. GPS myself 15 minutes to get back where I need to go. I get to the stoplight, and Brown's is right at the corner.
Girl, shut up.
And I said, no way.
Yes way.
Like, God, you that intentional that it's right there. Like, I've just put it in my GPS 15 minutes away from here. And I get off the phone, Godmama, so I can find my way. And I get to the stoplight, and it's right to my right-hand side. I mean, like, I just have to make a right-hand turn, a left-hand turn, and it's right there.
Wow.
So I was like just overwhelmed on how intentional he can be. And just if you pay attention, he will map out your steps.
Absolutely.
And I was just like, wow. I had to call her back. And I called her and I said, guess what? And she's like, what, Shauna? And I said, she said, I thought you was going to GPS yourself to get your stuff that you needed.
Right.
And I said, I know. I said, but I'm at the red light, and Bronze is at the red light. So what I learned from that situation was that, God's got you all the time.
Facts.
And he leads the way. And it's just easier to go his way than to go your way. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of, how you was telling me about the story about Hagar in the Bible?
Yeah. The story of Hagar where she was a slave. She was a slave, and she was working for Sarah and Abraham. And at that time, their name was Sarai and Abram. Mm-hmm. And until they changed their life, until they gave their life to Christ, that's when their name changed. But Hagar was literally, she was a slave that was working for Sarah, and Sarah told her, hey, yo, I need you to go sleep with my husband. I need you to go sleep with my husband. Because we're trying to have a baby. Unfortunately, Sarah could not have a baby. And so it was one of those things where she was like, and they looked up and it was like 10 years later, they realized that, they hadn't had one. So she told Hagar, hey, I need you to go lay with Abraham, go have a baby as a surrogate. And Sarah got jealous. She got very jealous. And then once she got jealous, it was like she got jealous because Hagar got pregnant so fast because she was so fertile. And so
but Sarah was an older woman too.
She was.
And
Abraham was
he
like
was even
80.
older than her.
No, he was like 70 something,
Yeah,
80
he was
almost.
older.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
that's kind of creepy. But hey. But she did what she was told to do because, again, she was a slave, So she did what she was told to do. She got pregnant. Sarah started being abusive towards her, like really mistreating her. Hagar ends up leaving. She's like, forget this. I'm done. I'm chunking up the deuces. I'm about to get out of here. And I think the beautiful thing about Hagar's story is how the angel of the Lord came to her in a time where she felt unseen. She felt like she didn't have a voice. She felt like she wasn't enough. And the angel comes to her and asks her questions. And clearly he's the angel of the Lord. So surely he knows, right? He knows the answers to the questions. But he asked her so that she could feel valuable, right?
But
she
you know
could
what?
feel seen.
Those stories like that are so real life.
Exactly.
Because I felt every single one
Yeah.
of those emotions
Yeah.
when I was going through that.
Exactly.
I was like, she doesn't see me as a person
Yeah.
that is really out here trying to do this.
Yeah.
And she doesn't see my willpower that I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
figure this out.
Exactly.
She didn't see, I just didn't, I can relate to
that.
Hagar.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think I love when the Bible can come to life like that. You know what I mean? Because I used to be the person where I did not like to read the Bible at all until now, where I read it in the form of real life stories, because they real life stories. They're other people's testimonies, right? And so, and it kind of reminds me of even my own life. Like even growing up as a kid, I felt like I didn't have a voice. I felt very unseen. I felt like no one noticed me. Nobody noticed that I had value, It wasn't until I rededicated my life. And then that's when I started it was like God reminded me that you're made in my image.
So do you think that it was really that you was kind of thinking that other people that didn't see that in you? Or like you said, until you gave your life to Christ, rededicated, you started seeing yourself. So before then, you didn't even see it for yourself.
You know what? That's a great question. I think it's a combination of both. I think it was the fact that I was dealing with low self-esteem. I didn't feel pretty enough. I didn't feel, I was dealing with low self-esteem. And then, so that mixed with not being in Christ's presence like that, like not having an intimate relationship with him. I think those two combinations made me feel even more like I had to do the most to be seen. So I was doing the most, I was clubbing a lot, I was drinking, smoking a lot. Like, look, no shade, no tea. If that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative. I'm just saying, for me in my life, in my story, I realize now that God is like, I have more for you. And that's actually being a distraction for where I want to take you.
We all accept that people are on different journeys in their life.
Yeah.
And everybody's not at the same level.
Right.
In their life.
I just don't ever want anybody to feel like, because I'm saying that I don't do these things, that, because I'm a Christian, because I know the stigma.
Yeah, we never want you to feel like that, because we both were there before.
Not long ago.
Now, I ain't even going to say that. There's times when we're still there. There's days, there's moments in days where I'm still there.
Yeah.
And I am disgusted with myself.
Absolutely.
Because of the way I'm acting.
But it reminds me of Paul. It reminds me of when Paul was like, every time I try to do right, I do wrong. He's like this thorn in my side.
As long as I got this flesh,
exactly,
that's going to be.
Exactly.
There's only one Jesus.
Yeah.
But so what do you mean when you say that you was talking about how when you gave your life to Christ and stuff, and it looked different. What does looking different mean?
Oh, Jesus.
Because some people probably don't really realize what that means. Like when you start to have that intimate relationship with him, what does an intimate relationship look like for you?
So for me, it looks like the same way I would be intimate with my husband. It looks like the same way I would be intimate with my family, like with my loved ones, with the people that I love. I want to know more about you. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to you. I want to read your story. I want you to talk to me. I let you in and you let me in. And so that's what it looked like for me. Like in a kind of general sense, it was like I became inquisitive about him. It was like, God, if you're real, like everybody say that you are, then I need you to show me you. And I feel like that's the reason why I can honestly say that I'm blessed, because I do notice him in everything, in the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the shame, the sadness. Like I notice him. And a lot of it is just so that it builds that character in me, and it shows me things about myself where I may have felt like, because I used to feel like being vulnerable was being weak.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like that being vulnerable is my way of letting him in.
Exactly.
I have to be able to just release and let go and trust.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say that, but trusting is such
God, it's hard.
a hard thing to do.
Yes, it is.
It's like going through a room that is cluttered and knowing that you're going to get to the door without stumbling over anything.
Yep. With your eyes closed, with a
your eyes
blindfold
closed,
on, and it's dark
already.
Yeah.
You have your eyes covered, and you make it to the door with no bumps, no bruises.
Yeah.
And then you can open the door and you see the light.
But then let's talk about the times where, even in that, there's times where you might bump your leg on a box. You might stumble a little bit. And even that's okay, because at the end of the day, you're still gonna make it. Like there's many ways to the water, but it's how do you want to get there? Do you want to take the windy road, or do you want to take the straight and narrow? And not everybody is in a position or in a mental place to even be able to take the straight and narrow.
And not only that, sometimes when you are having your bumps and your bruises, it's not, people take it to heart. And they feel like that I've done something wrong.
Yeah.
It's not always that you've done something wrong. Most of the time, it's not that you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes God places obstacles in our lives so that we can be able to overcome something.
Right.
To be able to get to the next level.
Yeah.
To overcome something. And you ain't never going to get to the point where you're not going to be overcoming something.
Exactly.
So don't ever be like down on yourself and thinking that, well, you know, I stumbled and I fell and I it's just like really actually having like a real accident and really hurting yourself. Like that's just really like what you do spiritually. You do those things.
But that's when he wants you to come closer.
And he does.
He's like, come closer. It's okay that you fail. It's okay that you may have been trying to stop doing this. You might have been addicted to this, that, whatever it may be. And then you stumble, and then you have a moment of weakness and you go back to it. Don't ever think that you're disqualified because you have a moment of weakness. Like, get up, dust yourself off, and then get back to it. You know, I do draw from the Holy Spirit, which that's the beautiful gift about the Holy Spirit, because I will tell God, I'm like, God, I am weak right now. I want to hit a blunt. I'm frustrated. My kids done got on my nerves. My husband is, ooh, Jesus, I'm ready to choke slam everybody. And then there's the moments where I want to give in, but then I'm like, all right, God, I need you to strengthen me right now. And what he'll do is he'll tell me, go do your laundry. It'd be the simplest things. Like, I don't know why we think that it's so majestic. Like, oh, boom, the feeling goes away. No,
They don't. And it's a lot. Like with Hagar. Hagar did that twice in her story.
Yeah.
The first time she got so frustrated with
She left.
Sarai
Yeah.
that she left and she was in the desert pregnant.
Yeah, pregnant. Yes, she was.
And he gave her water, he gave her strength, but he sent her back for the finishing of that fight. He was like, I'm gonna give you some strength to do what you need to do, but you're going back.
I need you to go back and submit.
You're gonna go back and you're gonna submit and you're gonna do what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And then after she went back and she submitted to what God told her to do, she ended up having her baby. And after she had her baby, after Sarai turned into Sarah, when Sarai was upset after the baby was born, and then God told Sarai that she was going to become Sarah.
Right.
She had her own child by her husband.
Right.
And now she's in her 90s. Yeah. He's over 100.
Yeah.
And she wanted to dismiss this child. Yeah. At this point. This is not you. You have your full lineage here. You don't need this baby.
You talking about Ishmael?
Yes.
Hagar's son?
Okay. So she wanted to dismiss Hagar's child because now you have mine.
Exactly.
And now this is full-blooded yours. Yeah. And wanted her to get rid of Hagar and her son. Yeah. And she had to trust him again. Yep. She like, wait a minute, you told me to come back.
Exactly.
Now you
trying to send me.
Now you telling me to leave again. So he was like, trust me.
Yeah. But that's how you know faith is scary. Like faith is not, I don't care how deep in the faith you are. Faith is scary. Trusting God's timing is terrifying. I did not know that I was going to be without a car for a year. I did not know that we was going to be without a job for a year. But he is Jehovah Jireh, which is God, my provider, for a reason. These are the names of him because these are the characteristics of him. So it's like, you got to know who to call, when to call. You know what I mean? Like what characteristic
you remember
of
when
God
she was
to
at
call
when she was at the water and she had a name for Jesus Christ?
Yeah, and she called him my Elroy. My Elroy, R-O-I, not R-O-Y, not your mechanic Elroy. No, not him, but Elroy, E-L-R-O-I. And that means God that sees me. Yes. Because he's seen her in her time of where she felt unseen.
I think that is what gave her the strength to leave the second time around.
Facts.
Because he told her to go back. Mm-hmm. He took care of her while she was back. Yeah. And then after her son was 14, it was time for her to leave again. Yeah. And this time she knew that I'm about to be out here in this desert, but he's going to make sure that I'm good and I'm covered, even though she got weary. Yeah. And she laid her son by the bush and she said, I'm going to put him over here by this bush and I'm going to stay over here. I'm going to pray, but I'm going to have to watch my son die because it's so hot and I have no water. I have nothing to give him to be able to survive at this moment. So sometimes you do give up on your faith just a little bit because you're going through some things that are just so overwhelming in your life. Yeah. But then when he came through for her again.
Every time. But that's how God does. Like, that's why this walk is not for the faint of heart. This is why this is why Jesus said, pick up your cross. If you're going to walk with me, pick up your cross. Because even when things are going well, right? It's kind of like my mantra for 2025. And I said in 2025, I'm going to thrive in 2025, thanks to Pastor Mike from PMJ. Because thriving doesn't mean that everything is going to be easy. It just means that even when obstacles come up, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to push through and I'm going to make it to the end. Because after so long, you get tired of life backing you into a corner and you feeling like you ain't got no muscles to fight with. You know what I mean? You feel like you ain't got no strength in you to fight with. So I think it's important that if you are going to walk this walk, understand that it's not always going to be easy, but it's beneficial because I don't rely on my own strength. I rely on his. So I call on him anytime when things are going great. I talk to him just like I'm talking to you right now. Like I talk to him the same way. I will wake up, good morning, guy. You know what? You so bomb. You did your big one. Thank you for waking me up. Heart emojis. Like I talk to him like that because that's just how I am. And then two, because I talk to my husband like that. Good morning, babe. How are you? I love you. Have a great day. I talk to my babies like that. Good morning, y'all. How are y'all? You know, so I talk to God the same way because he is the living God, right? And I think a lot of times we almost treat him like a genie in a bottle. Like the only time you go to him is when things are going bad.
And a lot of times people go to him and they don't really realize that you being there for me, God, is not always things.
No, yes.
It's not things.
Yeah.
It's not I want a TV, I want a car, I want a house, I want a job, I want this, I want that. Just having a sane mind.
Oh, God, girl.
Just being able to wake up and have peace and be like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, being able to say, I'm seeing the light from the sun come through the windows today. Where there's somebody that didn't wake up at all.
Dang.
It's a lot of things that we overlook as Christians. And we are in a time right now where we really need to be bigger than that. And better than that.
Yeah.
What do you really... What kind of relationship really do you want with him? Do you really want just things? Or do you want this nation to heal? Do you want it to be no more war? Do you want God to bless these people so it won't be that many people on the street homeless and hungry? Do you want child abuse to stop? What are you praying for? As much as I'm watching
Facebook,
whatever,
Instagram, Twitter,
whatever that's toxic and feeding you all this mess, and feeding your babies and teaching your babies,
the music,
all of it, you know, all of that you're doing, and you neglecting yourself, really, because it don't even take much, really. If you just wake up and just say, you know what, I'm just gonna read a passage today, and then we have the Bibles that read to you, You know, I'm gonna let it read to me. He even made it easy to where it can read to you.
It's baby steps. It's not.
It definitely is.
Look, let's make this clear. It is not a 360 overnight. You do not go to the altar or get saved in your room or get saved at your house, get saved in the car, and then think that the next day it's a 360 and that everything that you used to do, you will no longer do. That is not realistic. That's not realistic. Every day this is why he tells us to crucify our flesh daily, because every day it is going to be something that you're struggling with. Nita, mind you, you got to understand, you've been living your life. I'm what, 37? I'm about to be 38. I've been living this life for 37 plus years. I've only known God for about 3.5 of those years. And I'm supposed to quit everything? That's not realistic. That's not realistic.
I think
so
people
some days
don't realize either that when you give your life to Christ, baby, that's when the bombs are gonna start dropping.
Yeah.
Now the devil mad. So it's not that simple to where I'm giving my life to Christ today and everything is gonna be
rainbows,
wonderful.
And sunshine.
You know, I gave my life to Christ and everything is wonderful now.
No.
Buckle up.
Buttercup.
Because when you give your life to Christ, there's going to be challenges.
It is.
There's going to be difficulties. And they're going to seem like they're harder than they used to be. They're not.
It's not. It's just that you're more aware of it because now you have this Holy Spirit that's convicting you. So now, and what that looks like is basically now you start noticing everything that you do. You start noticing, like, I really don't even feel like going out no more. I really would rather be at home, snuggle up with a good book and just take me a good bubble bath and watch me a good movie. I don't know if you had heard about what's going on with Leandria Johnson, the gospel singer. And so, she apparently got arrested for drunk driving. Now, let's make this clear. When Leandria was on Sunday's Best, what's the name of the show?
It.
Okay, Sunday's Best. She was, you could tell even then, like she had a story, okay? She got some history, you know? So let's make it clear. It's not like just because you become saved, you become more financially stable, that now you're no longer battling those things that you used to battle. Like, oh no, I don't have this situation anymore because I found Christ. That is not realistic. Now, if that's your testimony, God bless you, Bookie. That's not mine. Okay,
it's just the opposite.
It's complete opposite.
It's like when she's gotten to be in the spotlight.
She did, yeah.
You know, the enemy's
So now
even
it's
more
even-
upset.
yeah.
So like,
So now
I don't
he's
want her
like,
to
I'm
be
gonna do it
touching
publicly.
nobody's souls and turning them into Christians. I don't want that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the liquor more enticing.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
what we really need to be doing is praying for her
Exactly.
instead of crucifying her.
But then understand that the church is still an industry. Okay? The church is still an industry. It's still an industry. There's still going to be people around you that are going to use you for your popularity, for your fame, for your voice, for your talents, for your gifts. So it's not like just because you're now in the church industry that everybody is saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost.
Right.
You got a lot of people and you got a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing.
Definitely.
So it's like now you really have to be whole and well-rounded and ask God for discernment and be like, God, do I go to this church? Do I speak at this engagement? Do you want me to go here? And there's times where he's like, yes, go for it. And there's going to be times where he's like, no, I don't care what the dollar sign is. Because they will say, well, I'll pay you $20,000 if you come and sing at our church anniversary. And God might tell you, turn it down.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, logically, God, this is the devil. This is not God telling me to turn this down. It's like, no, that was God. He said what he said. And it's because you don't know what was waiting on you, how the enemy was waiting on you at that door. And just like there's stories about pastors and elders and evangelists and teachers that have gone to different churches and get set up by having somebody from the welcome committee come to their room. And they like, anything you need, I'm here for. Anything you need. You thinking in your innocent mind, oh, okay, well, God bless you,
You got some gift cards for the buffet downstairs?
No, she's saying anything you need. And you like, oh, yeah. Because it's still, you understand that this is not, again, there's just a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, and we have to be aware of that. It's just like in the book of Acts when, Satan came to the church. That's when sin entered into the church, you know what I mean? Into the body of Christ. So now you have a lot of people that talk a good game, but they ain't really about that life. You know what I mean? They not really putting that work in at home. Like, do you know how many times I cry by myself? Because I'm like, God, I'm angry. I'm ready to go in.
I have to try to make sure that I stay humble. It's very, you can get off track real easy.
Facts.
And I always have to ask God to really just please keep me humble. Keep me steadfast on you.
Yeah.
Because you never know where the enemy, what direction he gonna come in, trying to attack you.
Yeah.
Is he gonna come through my children?
Yeah.
Is he gonna come through my grandchildren?
Yeah.
Is he gonna come through my friends and my family, my other family, or maybe slide through at work?
Yep.
You just never know. And you have to be able to just keep prayed up and ask him to be able to always lead you in the right direction.
Always.
Because it's very easy to just slide into the wrong lane.
It is.
And if you don't pay attention to it, it's easy to stay there.
Yep.
And you linger there for a while.
Self-righteous.
Yeah, you can linger there for a while and not even realize it. And it's been a situation for us. We have had a rough 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
A rough 2 weeks. And I know that it is nothing but the enemy because he does not want us to be on a platform where we bring in people to meet Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I know he don't, the enemy don't want that.
Yeah.
So, he goes on attack.
Yeah. And try to attack us through our relationship.
Yeah, he has tried to sliver through this past couple weeks. And we had to really just be like, hey, I was like, hey, Summer, do you see what's happening?
But
in the midst of it all,
I didn't. Yeah.
She was like, she talked right over what I said. She didn't see what was happening. And by her saying what she was saying, it made me more ignited. And I was like, okay, I see what's happening, but she ain't seeing what's happening. We ain't gonna see what's happening.
Exactly.
And so it went left real fast.
It did.
And where did it go? It got to the point where we was about to give this up. We was like, look, I'd rather savor our relationship than to be fighting over something that hasn't really been nurtured yet.
Yeah.
And so I can give this up for my relationship with my sister.
Yeah.
I do that because that to me was way more important. But those 2 weeks
was rough.
Was toxic.
It was very toxic.
It was like, who are you?
Yeah.
What is going on? Why are we arguing about the same thing?
It was like we were agreeing about it was like we were arguing on agreeing. Like it was weird.
And then it took Auntie Godmama to say, do y'all realize you all, with her calm voice, do you all realize that you all are saying the same thing?
Yeah.
And I was like, I see it. I keep on telling her I'm saying the same thing. She's like, no, sis, you keep on thinking I'm saying this. And I was like, no, you think I'm saying this. And it made no sense at all. And it took for us to really just go to God and be like, this has got to stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
This ain't of you at all.
But we realized that I realized in that my emotions have a voice. When I'm in my feelings and not my logic, I operate in my feelings. So if I'm angry, I don't hear logic. Logic is, she loves you, Summer. She's not saying what you think she's saying. My emotion at the time was, girl, you got me messed up. Because don't think because you're older than me that I won't go there. That was what I was on defense. You
and
know
I
what
was
I'm
sitting
saying?
back like,
yeah.
When she get finished.
Girl, not too much. No, because you was not as calm as you're saying you was. You was not as calm.
As your pitch got higher.
Yeah, it did.
As your pitch got higher, I started off like, I'm just going to let her talk. So, I know that Summer tends to get loud when she is trying to express herself. And I'm like, you know how she says that she just blocks everything? That's when I block everything out. Because I'm like, you're yelling at me. You're not talking to me. You're yelling at me. I'm not understanding nothing you saying. I'm not hearing anything you saying. It's just like you watching a TV on silent.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm just going to sit here.
Oh, the shade.
I'm not going to. But at the same time, we've been able to come to an agreement that I was being disrespectful too. And by me being disrespectful, my tone is different than yours.
It is. Your tone is very, I
I'll
get
let you
loud.
explain it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my turn. Okay. But so your tone is very, it's almost condescending. It's very proper bougie. Like, or you start talking to somebody like they're slow. Like, I said, don't do that. All I was saying was, I don't want you to do. And I'm sitting there like, girl, I ain't slow. Like, you ain't got to talk to me like that.
I'm thinking to myself, why do we need to get loud for me to understand what you're saying?
And I'm like, why do you got to talk? Why you got to slow that down like that?
Because I'm thinking you're talking so fast. I need to slow you down.
Yeah. But I think overall we realized that at the time, like we just didn't have those boundaries. Like we didn't establish the boundaries of, because sometimes arguments are healthy. Like
I think ours
that.
was.
It was very.
I think it was very.
Oh yeah.
It was our very first blow up.
Yeah.
That we've ever had.
Yeah.
I think that it taught us how to be able to relate to each other on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it taught us that it doesn't matter how I feel about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like that I'm talking to you where you are sounding like sounding like I'm talking to a kid and I'm being condescending, I have to respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what
and
I feel
versa.
about it,
yeah,
I have to respect that.
Yeah.
And you have to respect the fact that I felt like that you're yelling at me.
Exactly.
So we
I'm
have
like,
to
let me
feel
bring
like
my
that,
tone down.
you know, we just gotta, and it's nothing really but like God putting a mirror in our face, because you yelling and me talking like that is the same thing, really.
But I think a lot of it was also our trauma. Like the little girl in us was mirroring each other.
Yeah,
it
baby.
was like the little girls in us
yeah.
was like, you got me messed up.
I'm
No,
telling
you
you,
got
I
me messed up.
never felt like I was hurt at home.
Yeah.
So I know that me being my age, me being my age, that I know that I have not gotten over a lot of things in life. And a lot of people are like, well, you can go to therapy, you could do this, you can go do that. But does that really always work?
Right.
Because you're not going to talk about every single thing
Right.
in your life. And even if you've gone through therapy, there's going to be things that's going to happen in your life that's still going to trigger you.
Absolutely.
And then those are the things you never talked about because it didn't trigger you while you was in a session.
So they just trauma responses.
Yes.
It's just you trauma. And then a lot of times this is why people have a lot of trauma bound relationships. They're not healthy relationships. They just bond over their trauma.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if we don't like this girl together, now me and you could not like each other, but because we don't like her, we can kiki about her. You know what I mean?
Unhealthy.
And that's toxic.
Just unhealthy.
It is. But then I think with ours, it was very informal, because it was like it gave me a chance to really see me after we calmed down.
I think I was so glad that God actually like slowed down the room.
Yeah, you did.
On our conversation when we started really getting our healing. He like just slowed down everything.
He did.
And he started to really kind of, I remember me saying, I'm crying over here. And you was like, I'm crying too.
Mm-hmm.
And we were crying on the phone. And 1 minute we was like, and then the next minute we was like crying, and not really crying because of what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It was because I saw the little girl in you that was hurt. And you saw the little girl in me that had been hurt too. And it was like, why am I hurting this little girl? Why are you hurting this little girl? We are adults, true.
Yeah.
And we're full-grown women.
Right.
But at the same time, everybody got that little boy and that little girl in them
so true.
that gets triggered at times.
That's so true.
And when you start just being more intensive about paying attention to how you're treating people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was just me and her, but I know that we didn't have that blow up and miss our week of coming to shoot for just us.
Right.
We missed that week because somebody needed to hear this. Somebody needed to be fed by this. And we have to learn how to talk to each other with love.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're talking to each other with love all the time, then this would never have happened.
Exactly. But it almost reminds me of, again, it's the toxic teaching of the culture. It's this neo prosperity gospel thing that we're teaching, where it's like, it's me, and that's selfish. Like, again, it's not recognizing that, hey, we can disagree, but still be respectful. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean that I'm saying you're wrong. It just means that I don't I don't function like that, or I don't do that. It
But
doesn't.
we really wasn't even disagreeing. That's the craziest thing about it.
No,
all.
I'm just saying in general.
Okay.
Not necessarily just about us.
But
'cause
even
that's
in life,
true.
though,
Right.
people are having arguments, full-blown arguments, because they're not listening.
They're not listening
You're not
to
listening.
get an understanding.
You're not
They're
listening
just
to the
listening
other person's
respond.
need
Yeah.
of what they need to say. I have to be able to be respectful that whatever you're saying to me is important to you. It might not be
Yeah.
important to me, but I'm not the person that's supposed to be the important one in the room. If it's two people in the room, you're not the one that's supposed to be the one that's supposed to be I, me.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be about the other person. And if you speak to the other person with love and understanding, then you will come to a equal medium where you have some love and understanding in that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are coming to it like we both did, with whatever I'm saying is important to me, and I need her to get it.
That's control.
But we didn't see it like that.
We didn't. Yeah.
We didn't feel like that. And the louder we got, the more, what is the word you said about me?
Condescending.
That felt. The more condescending, that I got when I was talking. And my kids say that, you know what I'm saying? So it's not something that you just said and it ain't true.
Right.
It's not that at all. And I remember my daughter even said that, Mama, you remember you said we was at the restaurant.
Yeah, you did that to the waitress.
And you said you did that to the waitress because she had, and I said, oh my God.
You did.
You know, I said, I didn't even notice that I do that. And I've been one day I was going to work. I was even mad at the dog because the puppy was just irritating me. And I cried on my way to work that day.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, these 2 weeks have been so vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's like God has just really been showing me.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at that dog. He was tearing all of my, tearing up everything.
Yeah, he was.
And I was like,
Little Teddy was doing the most.
I do not like this dog.
Yeah.
And God said, that's my dog.
Yeah.
And I said, dadgummit. Now, how do I deal with that? You know, it's not my dog. It's your dog. You made this dog. So since you made this dog, I gotta be nice to this dog that's tearing up everything in my house.
He said, I'm teaching you patience.
And I said, I'm tired of spanking him.
Yeah.
I don't want to spank this dog.
Yeah.
He looking at me like,
Oh, little boy.
I said, come here, Teddy. He said, am I in trouble?
Yeah.
And I was like, if you don't come on, Teddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta go to work. I'm trying to let you go outside.
Yeah.
Come on, Teddy. And it's just like, I cried so hard on the way to work because God just showed me who I was. He was like, love is patience. Love is kind.
Yep. It doesn't envy. Love doesn't boast.
None of the
And
stuff
none of
that we were
And
doing
we was doing that.
to each other.
Yeah.
And now I'm mad at this dog. This baby ain't even a year old yet. So
Yep.
the dog don't know nothing.
Yeah. But I think that's just to show you guys, though, also that just because you disagree about something doesn't mean you have it. I put it like this. If you are a believer, even if you're not a believer, just out of respect for somebody else, give them the respect that's due them to say, you know what, let's just agree to disagree. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay.
You don't have to
I
go to
really
war.
don't. We don't have to rah-rah at each other.
Where has
for
war
that.
ever gotten us? But some dead people.
Oh my God. And a lot more enemies.
Right. So
A lot more enemies
where
than
has that
allies.
ever really gone?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I want to be a better me. I want to be able to learn how to love better. I want to be able to, and I've realized too that me doing that, I'm not loving myself properly.
Facts. Because now I got a headache. Now I'm frustrated. Now
You had a
I got
headache?
I did. I had a headache. I was short tempered with the kids. Hubby came home. I'm about ready to fuss at him. Anybody could have got it that day, okay? Because I was so rah-rah. But I think that just goes to show us that, hey, this is why I'm like, even as a believer, you never stop growing. It's just that as you're growing with him, he allows you to see you more. So you start to become more aware of your emotions. Am I thinking logically right now? Am I thinking naturally right now? Like you start to you have to be like, do I need to be spiritual? Do I need to be logical, or do I need to be emotional? I feel like those three things really make us whole, right? But I think it's important to do some reevaluation of self.
Definitely.
Really take some time with you. Like it's okay to get in that secret place and just get and make sure that you are doing the work.
It's the self-care.
It's the self-care.
It's that self-care. It's just like some people get their little bubble bath and their candles and stuff.
Yeah.
When you're doing that self-care, you just think more clear.
You do.
You think
do some
clear.
journaling.
Yes.
Do some journaling.
That's real good.
Put some music on, something that will soothe you, something that relaxes you, and just get into you, like get into self in the right atmosphere, right?
The healthy atmosphere.
The healthy atmosphere. And really start asking yourself questions like, why do I blow up when I feel this? Why do I, pop off? Why am I so triggered when this happens? And I think once we start really putting that work in, that's
making
when
yourself accountable.
Holding yourself accountable.
If you're not making yourself accountable, it's wasted time.
It really is.
I had to really just look at myself and be like, that ain't even who I am.
That's not who I want to be.
I was talking to my sister and she was like, oh, you just so sweet, Shauna.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, I'm like, she my sister and she don't know the other side of me. I was like, did not want to take that compliment at all.
Yeah.
Because I know that sometimes that Shauna Ray, when that Ray come out of me.
Yeah.
Oh, she can be vicious.
Yeah.
And it's
Summer
not
Nicole be like,
cute
and what?
at all.
Yeah.
It's okay when you Shauna Ray, but when that Ray come out by herself, she is so nasty that it's embarrassing to be who I am. Yeah. And it's nothing to brag about at all. But I know that I've grown so much.
I think we just really wanted to have this vulnerable moment with you guys so that we can kind of let you guys know that we're all perfect. Growing, right? Yeah. And just because we're believers, we just want to take you in on the journey of what it's like to walk this thing out with Christ, knowing that, we're not perfect and we'll never be. And we're always growing and evolving. And you can do the same because the God that we serve has no respect to person. And he loves you just like he loves us. And you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. Pat yourself on the back if you have to, just for getting out of bed. You know what, God, I thank you for letting me get out of bed this morning. You know what? My car started. God, I thank you for that. God, I thank you. I was able to pay my bills today. It's the simple things show yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Be gentle so with yourself. Yeah.
Don't be so hard on yourself. It's a daily walk.
It is.
It's sometimes, like I said earlier, it's a daily walk sometimes. It's an hourly walk sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just being able to heal within. You can't even be able to give your love until you can't heal within and love on yourself. Yeah. And we just want to be able to share that part of our journey because, that was a hard one.
It was a journey. And we wanted to take you guys with us. But we out of here, y'all. We love you. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you can continue to get updates on when we upload to the channel. But have
a great one.
Other than that, we out. Bye.